Hey guys, it's me, EODGamer here. What better way to actually start off the new league when to talk about mistakes that are most likely a lot of people that don't watch this video are going to make. So let's jump into it in this video as well. We're going to be having lots of content for the new league, but the first and most important one that I want to share with you about is do not assume that whatever trends that we saw in the previous first league of how Exile, Chaos prices, as well as Divine prices, how they go about is not going to be the same, and in fact it's going to change drastically for the new league in 0.2 as well. Now, why is this the case? Because previously, the number of use cases for Chaos was much lesser, and Exalt was pretty much what people were looking for. So the normal process is you will find a random gear, you will slam Exalts into it, and if it turns out pretty good, you'll most likely keep it. If it doesn't get too good, you want to have a chance of RNGing into something better, you would Chaos it, but there are much lesser opportunities for you to Chaos stuff. That's why Exalted was much more valuable, and once your gear pretty much had like 6 line junk, you probably are just going to like dump it straight away, or like maybe 1 out of the 6 lines were good, you probably will dump that item off. But in the new league, something's going to happen. We're going to have 2 things that will change the landscape drastically and shift the whole entire economy towards Chaos Ops, and that is going to be my prediction. I think Chaos Ops will be probably much more closer to a de facto currency moving forward into the second league. And why is the case is because we have more use cases for it now. With fracturing, for those of you who don't know like what fracturing recombination is exactly, I'm going to be making full guides once I do a deep dive on them. I want to see whether there's any probability weightage on them in specifically to Path of Exile 2, whether maybe some lines are more common to be locked than others. Once I do that deep dive, I'll present again information. But early thoughts so far, even without reading the patch notes and knowing numbers and stuff, by having fracturing and recombination into the game, this means that items will have a higher use case, especially once they reach like 6 lines or even like 4 liners. They are no longer as junky as they were in Season 1, in League 1, because now quote-unquote junkier items actually have a use. And if you fracture a good line, you likely are going to Chaos as much as you can so that you can get at least maybe 2 lines, 3 lines. The later in the league, the better. And when you have a lot of these good 2-liners, you might consider recombining them to find like a 4-line great items. So it actually has a lot more use case for Chaos Ops now in the new league environment. What are the implications here? I don't just want to tell you mistakes, right? As we do on the channel, I always try to give you suggestions as well so that we can not only mitigate mistakes but also capitalize on other people's lack of knowledge on these mistakes. What I want you to do early on is try to invest and save most of your resource in Chaos. And if you can, of course, if you have a lot more resources, shift it to Divines, and especially these are the better items to have earlier on, especially when you don't have too much currency. So don't hold as much in Exalts as you would in the first league. Make sure to hold a little bit more towards Chaos Ops as well. I think that is the way and more intelligent way moving forward into the second league because of this changing landscape. A lot of people that don't follow these videos, we are primarily an economics-based channel on Path of Exile 2. So if you like these kind of talk about economy, not many other people talk about this out there. There are a lot of meta content creation. But of course, if you like this kind of content, do consider liking and subscribing. We put out most of these kind of content on this channel as well. So that's the first mistake, which is maybe intuitive to some. The second one is very, very important, and it's something that I personally might do on my own, but it's not too much of a game breaker. Investing too much in early gear. What do I mean by early gear is stuff like this. They are quite strong. To put it into perspective, it's still a pretty decent one overall, but because it's not a max liner, the lightning spell skills is not +5, it's just a +4. So these kind of items will have a much higher depreciation compared to an item which is of a perfect liner. And by investing too much resources, like trying to Chaos it, trying to Omen it early on, you are much better off really just buying rather than crafting. So the early game situation, especially if your item is like item level 60, item level 40, the intermediary kind of stuff, if you can't find a better one, go on the trade site, just pick up something for a couple of Exalts or Chaos. You can get a much better one than attempting to craft it yourself. If you find good ones, don't forget to keep listing them and selling them to other people who are also buying. And this is the much more efficient process. Additional resources that you have, save it for late game where quote-unquote crafting becomes more predominant. That's when you're going to be using most of your resources. But please don't craft unnecessarily unless you have a god tier item level, perhaps generally speaking, item level max, and you have perfect lines on that thing, then crafting, sure. But it's going to be very expensive to get mirror tier items, especially early on in the league. So that is my advice for number 2. This is perhaps more intuitive to some than others, but I might make a little bit of mistakes. Even as if I find something that is like decently valuable, I might overextend trying to get a much better gear. But it's not the most efficient tactic available for the early to mid game, especially in a new league environment. Number 3. So now that we talked about junk gear, there are some gears that's actually worth keeping, and that is going to be your accidentally junking gear with desirable lines. This is a mistake. So stuff like this, of course, you have like damage with bow skills, attack speed on the staff, maybe even crit hit chance on a visceral quiver. These are all really strong and they are really very valuable. And with the whole notion and whole idea of this ability to fracture lines, locking them in place, or perhaps even recombining 2 not so good but still decent quivers, slamming them into one new one, you're going to be having a much more better opportunity of creating great gear. And don't go junking them and selling them for very cheap, because now with this whole new concept of recombination, your not so good rare items now become a lot more valuable than where it was. How valuable it will be, I'll let the market settle in place. Once we have a better number, it's easier to run the stats rather than plucking a number out of a crystal ball. I like to be more factual than I am intuitive on this channel as well. More importantly, what is factual, what is going to be useful for you right now before even the league starts, is to check out these 101 videos on the channel. This goes deep dive into every single item that is already out there and what are the lines that are important, and I explain to you exactly why those lines are important. And not only I talk about lines, I also teach you about the probabilities, the mathematics behind it, and how do you actually want to order the stat priority so that you can lower your chance of risk. It's kind of like blackjack where you count cards to shift the odds in your favor. That's what these videos aim to do as well. They try to shift the odds in your favor by telling you how the math behind everything works. I think it's very interesting for those of you who care about numbers and efficiency and you want to do crafting in this new league. Check these videos out. Anything with like that 101 you see on the channel, these are deep dives. You want to go into that as well. Or any bulk crafting videos, they are also quite good too. So that is the third mistake. Number 4. Number 4, I think, is a mistake that a lot of people are going to make, but it's not truly a mistake. It's only a mistake if you are thinking about wealth, money, and money. If you are choosing to have fun in the game, then by no means is a mistake, right? But because I'm primarily a wealth, economy-focused channel, so I want to give you guys the information that you need. And playing multiple characters too early on is going to be a huge detriment to your wealth building journey in a new league. You can do it later in the league once you already have your economy more or less set. But in the early game, because your money trickles in so slowly before you hit tier 15 maps, you want to actually get one character to hit tier 15 and beyond 16, 17 maps with like corruption, irradiation, and whatever not, so that you can get the best income generation. Once you've set out your stuff, for example, you have your trade going on, you already have your investments that are picking up, you have a lot of other things that are passively generating you income already, then fantastic. These are going to be very, very solid. But before that happens and before you earn that passive income waiting for someone to buy your stuff, you do not want to waste the time grinding a character with much low income trickle rate. Another thing to point out. There are also a lot of other things that we talked about as well. Some early game items are very important. We have a lot of those videos, what I'm watching for, watch list on the channel. You can check those videos out as well. I think it's really, really helpful. There's tons of content on the new league. This is not the only one. You can check the channel out for more information. But more importantly, there's another thing for those of you who are sticking around to this point and like not skipping the channel, the video. I want to give you a bonus tip in this fourth mistake as well, and that is using a method that is very common in the first one, which we on the channel talked about first as well, is reforging. Please don't mind-numbingly do what you did in the first league of reforging from the get-go the moment you have a chance. This is a very inefficient method early on, because if you are a day one league, new league player, you want to push as far as you can, generate as much cash as you can, and start investing in the long-term assets rather than wasting your time reforging. Reforging is great once you have set out everything already and you're too lazy to play a new character. That's when reforging's value goes up. But before you reach that stage where you have that passive income, that trade portfolio that is going for you, you do not want to be reforging. So in line with making multiple characters, Similarly, a same mistake to be reforging too early. So don't do that as well. That is the 4th mistake I want to share with you guys. And last but not least, of course, is the most duh ever. This is going to be not investing in Mirror of Kalandra early. Everyone knows, you look at the charts, Mirror of Kalandra is a long-term asset. It's like prime real estate. We've talked about it a lot and used that analogy a lot on the channel, but it's really true. Throughout the entirety of the League 1, the Mirror of Kalandra just keeps going up in value because it basically copies the best items in the game. It's really, really very solid. The hardest part, of course, a lot of you might be thinking is like, EOD, duh, of course, everyone knows to buy Mirror of Kalandra early, but the question is, how do we get that rich if we don't drop it? That is why we actually have this banking system that we are going to be implementing in the new league environment. You can check this video out for the thought process of how it works, but basically you can join our Discord. Is in the video description below as well. Everyone will have a chance to participate in this as well. There's more information on our Discord. If you have any questions, you can check out the FAQs on our Discord as well. And anyways, guys, at this point, there's a lot of other stuff on the channel and a lot of things that are going to coming up for League 2 as well. If you care about economy, you want to get rich in Path of Exile 2, stay tuned as well. These tricks works much better early on in the league, but don't worry, I'll be there for you throughout the entirety of League as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. Check out these 2 other videos as well, which will help you out. See you guys in the next one.